I have some advice for you today that's going to sound a little contrary to what you've heard before, and that is it's time to be a loudmouth, or it's time to be a big mouth. Are you one of those people that has trouble being heard on a business conversation, in a telephone conference, making a speech, when you're at a party with other people? Well, the secret is in this video how to be a loudmouth and why it's important. Let's get started. The other day I was coaching somebody and they were very quiet in their voice. And I said, well, speak up, be a little bit louder. And this person said, oh, I'm being too loud, I'm being too loud. Well, in this case, it was an instance of they had the perception that they were speaking at a regular volume, that their volume was adequate, and that when they spoke up a little bit more loudly, that was too loud. Well, that is problematic, isn't it? If we don't know whether our voice is naturally loud, kind of appropriate, or very quiet. What kind of voice do you have? And if you're watching this video, you probably have a voice that has a little bit harder time being heard. Well, what can you do about it? First off is to recognize that you are one of those people. Now listen, how do we know this? How do we know I speak too loudly? I was talking to my assistant Marcus before this video, and he was saying, well, can I tell? Because to myself, I sound pretty loud, and yet people will say, you can speak up. Well, that's the answer. Listen to the messages from the universe. See how people respond to you. Take in what people say. Filter some of those things, because sometimes people say things and we can just let them go. But do notice, if you are being told by somebody you trust or somebody that is offering a suggestion that perhaps you speak a little bit too quietly, this is a good opportunity to practice what I'm trying to tell you in this video, which is be a loudmouth, be a big mouth. So the first step is awareness. For myself, what kind of voice does Patrick Munoz have? Patrick Munoz has a loud voice, so I have to gauge it. In this video, I'm speaking with some volume because I want the microphone to hear me. I want you to hear me. I want to share excitement with you. But certainly in a different venue, if I were in a library or in a restaurant or anywhere where I realized I needed to speak a little bit more moderately, I could do that. And that's one of the wonderful things about having a voice that you can expand on, that you can speak quietly, you can speak appropriately, you can speak loudly, because there's a time and place for all of these situations. And if you're stuck only in that spectrum of your voice that's quiet, yes, people might be drawn to you, but it might also be harder for you to get your point across, for you to come across as a confident person who's able to lead a meeting. So what can you do? Be a big mouth. So being a big mouth, what does that mean? Being a big mouth is somebody who blabs about other people. Being a loud mouth is somebody who talks loudly in every situation. I'm not telling you to do that. Do not start to walk around like this. Not only I want you to listen to what you're getting from the universe, I want you to look at what you're getting from the universe. If people recoil from you, perhaps you're being a little bit too loud. But again, I think you're watching this video because you're on the quieter side. So, being a loud mouth, being a big mouth is somebody who, shares other people's business. And that's not really a great quality, I don't think. It's not a virtue. I think being quiet and respectful towards other people is a virtue. However, in this case, be a big mouth. Because if you are using a voice that is being heard by other people, there's some space there. Look, it's impossible for me to be very loud if I don't really open my mouth. So this is why I'm telling you it's time to be a big mouth. Well, how do I do that, Patrick Munoz, you ask? It's time to be a big mouth and make your mouth big. Well, how do I do that? Well, what I mean is, let's open that space in your mouth. Let's define, or find out rather, how to open the space in our mouth. So what we're going to do is open our mouth as big as we can. Here goes. Excellent. You've just opened your mouth as big as you can. Now, some of you, if you have TMJ, I don't want you to go beyond the spot of that clicking. If you have a click in your jaw, then just go as big as you can without having that click. I want you to be sensitive to your needs, but open your mouth really big. And I don't want you to go from side to side with your jaw. That's not good mechanics for your jaw. I want you to go straight up and down, nice and big. Excellent. Now, let's just say, oh, let's really open our mouth and say, oh, or ah. It has some volume behind it. Great. So maybe in the car today, when you're driving along, or if you're in a place where you can do this now, I want you to take out a big sound and sort of shout to the universe. Maybe it's something you want to shout like, I speak with a strong voice, or maybe it's a big oh or a big ah. But whatever that is, practice using your mouth. Feel yourself being way louder than you could imagine yourself being. Don't strain your voice. Speak from your belly. But in doing so, you're going to discover that you can be much louder than you're used to. And remember, in so many cultures, the culture says to us, and the American culture can be one of them, be quieter, be more reserved. This is especially true in the Chinese culture, the Indian culture. That's fine. That's important. And in our culture, in the American culture, and in many cultures, in many business situations, it's good to be able to have a sound that carries, so you can be heard in a hall, you can be heard at a party, you can be heard over a teleconference. By being a big mouth, by being a loud mouth, you can start to discover this other untapped part of your voice. By having that part of your voice, you're going to do what I always talk about, which is blending all the possibilities of your voice, having a flexible instrument, one that can go up and down, one that can have volume or quietness, one that can have different tones of peace and calm, or excitement and enthusiasm. And these are vocal qualities that you can identify, work on, nourish, and implement. By doing that, you'll discover that your voice, just like your soul, has so much personality, has so much flavor. And if all of those feelings and all of those thoughts and all of those imaginings in you can only be expressed at one volume or at one tone or at one pace, what are you missing out on? What are those things that you could express in a way that would allow you to have no buffer between here and out there, and to express yourself just the way that you are in this moment intended to be and to do and to speak? If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel.